Awesome. Well, my name is Chanel Ford. I'm the Director of Programs for Native American Agriculture Fund. I grew up on the Spokane Indian Reservation. I'm an enrolled member of the Spokane Tribe, and I currently live in Pendleton, Oregon. I grew up on a bison ranch on the reservation. My dad, Monty Ford, has raised bison nearly half my life. And so, yeah, I'm really passionate about the work that we do at Native American Agriculture Fund. I'll give you a little bit of history and then share about our funding opportunity this year. So, Native American Agriculture Fund, we're a private charitable trust, and we derive from the Keep Siegel v. Vilsack class action litigation. We have funding that focuses on any ag-related projects. Our mission is to provide business assistance, ag education, tech support, and advocacy services to Native farmers and ranchers to support and promote their continued engagement in agriculture. Go into our overview here. So as Joey shared, our current application is open. If you are one of these four entities, you are able to apply. So you can be a 501c3, an educational institution, a community development financial institution, also known as a CDFI, or you can apply via a tribe and their instrumentality. We have funding for the next 20 years, and we'll go into about 2038. And so we just really want to make sure that we're getting the word out each year of our funding opportunities. And also really we encourage new projects to apply. And we typically open our RFA every year around the same time. So it's open right now, like we shared. It opened March 1st. It will close May 1st. So this is just an important notice we have here. If you are a current grantee of ours, we just want to make sure that you're in compliance. So if you were a 2023 grantee or 2024 grantee, please reach out to us to make sure that you're all up to date on your reporting in order to apply for our current year 2025 funding. This is just information in regards to if you are wanting to apply as a 501c3. So we allow you to apply via a fiscal sponsor if you're taking the route to apply via a 501c3. So we encourage startup nonprofit organizations. If you have not heard back about your 501c3 status from the IRS, if you've not received a determination letter yet, you can apply via a fiscal sponsor. So if a fiscal sponsor is not used, or if fiscal sponsors used, the fiscal sponsor must be an eligible 501c3 organization, and you should follow the guidance in NAF's fiscal sponsor information. So I can pop in our website information into the chat. That's where you'll go to look at all of our RFA information, how to apply. We have a huge list of frequently asked questions. If you're uncertain if this will apply to you or if your region can apply, there's information there that's ready. And but you can also email our grants at email. Well, we can go through and discuss. But we have had a lot of 501c3s participate and apply via a fiscal sponsor. If you haven't received your determination letter yet, you just must be active in receiving that 501c3 determination letter. So I want to make that clear. And also the relationship between grantees and the fiscal sponsor is not managed by us. So make sure that you have a good relationship with them and that there's constant communication, because once that happens, we're not able to tell your fiscal sponsor, you need to do X, Y, and Z. It's in your hands. So that's just a note for 501c3s if you choose to apply via the nonprofit route. So access to capital, we encourage all of our applicants to make sure that your project is focusing on access to capital. That was the core of the Keep Siegel case. So if you're not familiar with the Keep Siegel case, Native American farmers and ranchers, producers, were not being afforded the same right as white farmers and ranchers in regard to access to credit. So we have really, that's really what what we're based off of, is just that access to capital piece. We want to make sure that's included in your project. We have a really good informational video on our website about access to capital and how you can incorporate that specifically into your project. If you don't include access to capital in your project in any piece, then it won't be funded. So I want to talk about a little bit about what our funding amount is. So we have $10 million this year to distribute out into these four categories. So remember, I said 501c3, CDFI, educational institution, and tribes. So the available amount that we have for our 501c3s is $1 million. So if you're applying via a 501c3, the minimum amount you can request for your project is 100,000. The maximum you can request is 250,000. So the available pool here on the right side is what we're looking at. And so just making sure that you're focusing on business assistance, ag education, advocacy services, technical support. I want to mention, per our trust agreement that we have to follow, we are not allowed to distribute funding to a sole producer. But that's why we fund 501c3s, who can then in turn distribute the funding that they get back into, you can distribute it back into scholarships or back into small grants. So just keeping that in mind. CDFI, same thing. We have a larger pool for our CDFIs, but that's because that money can go directly back to a farmer, producer, rancher. So right here in the middle, it says special focus. Each year, our organization determines what our special focus is going to be. So that means that you can apply for our funding via the general application, which is, if you're applying as a 501c3, you could apply for the $250,000 project, and that's in general. So that could be anything from we have 100 producers in our community that want to be receiving technical assistance, or they want to receive financial education, or they want to build risk analysis, risk management plans, and we want to offer them grants to be able to do that. So that could be your general focus project as a 501c3 organization. You can then also apply for our special focus area, which is, this year the focus is infrastructure and climate resilience. So maybe there's something that you need infrastructure-wise to go along with that project, or it's completely separate from your general focus project. You are able to apply for that. So there had been some confusion of whether or not if you're applying for just the general funding, the 250,000, if you can apply also for this special focus, this other project, infrastructure and climate resilience, and you can. So the available pool for that is $1 million. The minimum amount you can apply for is 150,000. The max amount is 500,000. So we're really excited this year. We try to take into consideration what the trends are, and we gather data to see what our farmers, ranchers, and producers are experiencing, and what they think the most important special focus area would be this year. And then we bring it to our board of trustees, and they vote on that. So voted on this year, it would be infrastructure and climate resilience. So if you're applying as as an educational institution, the available pool we have here is 500,000. The minimum amount you can apply for is 75,000, and the maximum amount is $150,000. So remember, that's just via the general focus project. Now, if you want to apply for the special focus project, the infrastructure and climate resilience, then the minimum amount you can apply for is 150,000. The maximum amount is 500,000. And educational organization reminders. This is just a reminder sharing information regarding cover all the codes under Section 170 of the IRS code, including K through 12 post-secondary institutions such as TCUs, Native American serving non-tribal institutions, other institutions that have history and experience in serving Native farmers and ranchers, and the Bureau of Education, BIE schools. So we have specific information if you're applying via educational institution on our website. So be sure to, if that's the route that you're choosing to take, please take a peek at that. This is just sharing that BIE schools are allowed to apply for our funding. They're allowed to apply for NAF funding. And then this is just a note regarding if you were applying via a tribe. So I'll go into a little bit more detail about this later, but if you're applying as a tribe, you will be required to sign a limited waiver of sovereign immunity. It's a requirement. When you apply via a tribe in the application, it will ask you if you're able to apply or if you're able to accept this, and you can say yes or no. And if you say yes, it'll move you through the application. If no, you won't be able to move through the application. But essentially, it's just an agreement to cover NAF and to cover you, and just to say that it's just the duration of this agreement is just the duration of whatever your grant project is. It's not for life. It's not anywhere over either 12 months or 24 months, whichever project length you choose. We're only able to, for industrial hemp, you can do a feasibility or market study, but per trust agreement, that's the only thing that you can apply for funding for if it's specific to hemp. All right, so this is just the information regarding tribes. It's the same available pool. The minimum amount is 100,000. The maximum amount is 250,000, and it's goes back to the special focus. You're still able to apply for the special focus if you apply for the general funding. Minimum is 150,000. Maximum amount is 500,000. I'm gonna keep going here so I can get through. This is just a little bit more information about the sovereign immunity waiver. So we're private charitable trust, like I shared, and the final settlement agreement provided the distribution of grants to federal and state recognized tribal governments and their instrumentalities. So NAF recognizes that tribes are immune from suit or action as a sovereign government, and that sovereign immunity is vital to the functioning of tribes and all of its subdivisions and subordinate bodies. The waiver of a tribe's immunity from suit or action is occasionally required when entered into certain transactions. So the reason for this requirement stems from NAF serving as a fiduciary of the trust funds with a duty to protect its funds from fraud or gross mismanagement. So we have had in the past tribes want to get their lawyer connected to our lawyer to go over what this potentially might look like, and we've done that, creating the waiver together. If you do get funded, you need to provide that waiver of sovereign immunity. Almost 3 months of receiving the NAF grant funds. And so if you aren't able to submit that, then we'll have to have a discussion on maybe forfeiting the award amount if you were funded. But we've had really good conversations with individuals, and like I said, if it's needed that our legal counsel visits with your legal counsel, it's totally allowable. So getting into CDFIs, same thing, not same thing, I'm sorry. The available pool for targeted project CDFI is 5.5 million. So we just ask that there's no minimum amount that you can apply for, but we just ask that you don't request the full available pool. So don't request the 5.5 million, but otherwise there's no minimum just other than that. And then you can also apply for the special focus, infrastructure and climate resilience. Again, the minimum amount is 150,000, maximum amount is 500,000. So for CDFIs, that's our general focus looks a little bit different. We anticipate these projects to look like loan capital, regranting, capital and technical assistance, and business assistance, market planning. We also fund youth projects, which is really exciting. So all eligible entities, if you're a 501c3, a tribe, a CDFI, or an educational institution, you can also apply for our youth programming. The available pool we have here is $1 million. The minimum amount is 20,000. The maximum amount is 200,000. That's going through our criteria, but I'm going to keep it moving so I can answer any questions. So right now, NAF only allows 12 and 24-month projects. So when we are viewing your application, we expect to see either a 12-month or a 24-month, and it gives you that opportunity to check whichever one you prefer. We used to allow 18-month projects, but we just thought that it just seemed to flow a little bit better if we had 12 or 24. But you are allowed to, if you do get funded, we will work with you if you chose the 12-month project and you just needed a little bit more time. We're really flexible, and we try to work with everybody on making sure that if there's an instance that comes up that slows the project work down, that we can get it done to wherever you need. And then critical deadline. So our deadline is May 1st, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. Just a reminder, there's no opportunity to edit your application after the deadline. We've had, I've written grants before, and sometimes we get in there a little bit later than anticipated. I've gone to submit an application, and my DUNS number wasn't like accurate or wasn't correct. And I was ripping through paperwork trying to find all this extra information and where did I put it? And so just making sure that that if you do have any questions regarding the application, you get them to us sooner than later. Likely, the day before would be best, the day before closing. But yeah, so that's just a reminder. We also hold webinars every Thursday up until May 1. We have a webinar this Thursday, and you can register for that on our website. It goes through basically kind of this right here, what I've just gone through, but we go through in more depth about what expectations are and funded projects in the past. And also we go through a little bit of the application. So how to get to Foundant is where the application is housed. We talk about how to apply, and we just go into more depth. So if there's interest in that, I really encourage you to register and sign up. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.